If you tell me I have to cut this plant down and start your seeds, and this is what's helping my people, I'm sorry, I cannot follow your laws. You have to come our way a little bit.
Nestled in the mountains of BC's southern interior, the Kootenays are a region that's rugged and remote. It was first developed by miners drawn here by the lure of silver and gold. But today it's renowned for producing something much greener.
The idea is this is the Kootenays.
Inside this relatively small grow-op, Patrick Bonin is trying to build his business, one which for now is still very much in murky territory.
As far as the laws go, we're not sitting in a very comfortable position.
What does that mean? Are you operating illegally?
In a sense, I grow legally. I do feel anxious sometimes because I do sit in a pretty rough position, having to in a way, be breaking the law to help people feel better.
Patrick sees his strains of cannabis as a calling. He began growing it when he was suffering from inflammation and pain in his spine.
It's a strain that we came up with just in kind of luck, with popping seeds and crossing strains and testing, and this is where this plant came out, and it's kind of named after my wife, Melanie.
He uses it to make CBD oil, which many believe has wide-ranging health benefits. And while he's allowed to grow and make it for himself, he isn't legally allowed to sell it, but he does anyway.
So this is a 10-to-1, so 10 being CBD and then 1 being THC.
In fact, it's one of the most popular items in the local dispensaries. Products sold here are all locally sourced from the region's rich marijuana industry, which took root in the 1970s after draft dodgers settled in the area. High up on the mountains, the BC Bud brand was born. And through the years, the local economy has been propped up by the illicit yet profitable industry.
Well, I mean, you hear this figure of 30%. Bandied around, and I think certainly in the past that was very true. You know, when the mill shut down here, there wasn't a lot of other activity going on, and cannabis really filled the void.
Valerie Warmington is a city councillor in Nelson, BC. It's a hip mountain community with a population of just over 10,000 and a restaurant scene all the locals like to brag about. There are more than 60 eateries here, and how come there's so much money around to support them? Well, many point to weed.
You know, we have a reputation in this region of being amazing cannabis producers.
And in recent years, the illegal ones have been mostly off the police's radar, in part because legalization was on the way. While marijuana is still kept out of sight, most of that mountaintop growing has moved indoors. In the Kootenay region of BC, marijuana is abundant. So you would think for an area where people have been growing and selling illegally for years, legalization would be a good thing. But people are also very anxious. David Robinson is with BC's Craft Cannabis Association and runs a gardening supply store which caters to those growing marijuana.
There's so many people that really are passionate about participating legally. So why not welcome them into the fold? Like, we want to do this, but a lot of people don't have an option right now.
Because he believes the system has been skewed toward the large licensed producers and not the customers he sells to. Earlier this year, the government introduced draft rules for micro producers that would allow them to grow up to 200 square meters of plants. That's about half the area between the blue lines on a hockey rink. But there will be strict regulations about how it can be sold. In BC, it all has to go through the government-run liquor distribution branch, which will be the wholesale distributor.
Really, they should put as little barriers to entry as possible. If they put onerous barriers to entry, we've got a problem.
Robinson believes that small growers should be able to grow more. He also believes they should be able to sell to consumers directly, like wineries and craft breweries do.
To not roll in the pioneers that built this world and made it world famous would be a huge mistake. We could have tourism. We could have, people coming here to visit cannabis producers, just like when you go to a winery and you taste the wine, you pick out a couple bottles of wine. If we do this right, we could issue in like a golden age. If we do it wrong, we're going to see some serious, I don't want to use the word poverty, but we're going to see some serious cash flow diverted from good, hardworking families to major corporations.
About 70 kilometers to the north, tucked in a valley at the base of a mountain, lies a farm and an idea which Todd Berry is hoping will include the growers in the new legal economy.
If we want to keep the decision making here and if we want to keep the profits locally like they've stayed over time, we need to fund it and do it ourselves locally.
Back up, Bully. Come on.
Berry, who in addition to cows used to tend to his own cannabis crop, hopes to launch a co-op that will specialize in outdoor organic weed. The plan will allow people to grow their own plants, and the co-op model makes it easier to process them and sell them to the legal market.
You've got to sell it, you've got to market it, and that is I think that's the main fear, that's the hard part.
He says black market producers have never had to contend with regulation and oversight, and he believes it's a hassle many just don't want to deal with.
Black market and gray market cannabis producers have gotten very good at whining. Government has been very receptive to whatever they want to tell them. And letting them into the folds, I think even the consumers and the neighbors around here I think will question people who don't go legal now, because with the co-op, with the support that we're going to get here, both outdoor and indoor, why not be legal? Why stay in the black market? Why not come into the light?
And that's exactly what Bonin is hoping to do, become a fully licensed, legalized business. But there are certain compromises he isn't willing to make.
If you tell me I have to cut this plant down and start your seeds, and this is what's helping my people, I'm sorry, I cannot follow your laws. You have to come our way a little bit.
Which is why there's still so much uncertainty about what will happen here after legalization.
We are going to be applying for any licenses they allow us to apply for, But at the end, we will in those situations. But they will have to understand is plants like this aren't going away.
If longtime growers can't or don't find a way into the legal market, many could keep trying to do what they've always done, operate underground. But on top of trying to stay off of the police's radar, those growers are going to also be facing something else. Plenty of new competition that will be very much out in the open. Briar Stewart, CBC News in the Kootenays in BC.